Over the weekend, my nephew asked me a great question a lot of people are quietly asking right now. If home values are dropping, is this finally the time to start investing in real estate? Well, that question sounds simple, but it exposes the real problem. See, most people are making real estate decisions from national headlines, not local math. And they hear that prices are falling somewhere in the country, and then they assume that that must mean Albuquerque is doing the same thing. Guys, that's how consumers think. Investors cannot afford to think that way. Here's the epiphany. Market data is not there to predict the future perfectly. Market data is there to keep you from making emotional decisions with borrowed opinions. It tells you where demand is still holding, where inventory is building, where sellers are losing leverage, and where buyers may have the room to negotiate, and where cash flow opportunities might be starting to show up. So in this May 2026 Albuquerque market update, I'm not just going to throw numbers at you, but I'm going to show you how to read the numbers like an investor, because the question is not, is this a good market or a bad market? The better question is, where is the opportunity and what does the data say that I should do next? So let's get into the Albuquerque numbers.
The May 2026 GAAR market report does not show a collapsing Albuquerque market. It shows a market that is shifting but still active. Across all property types, new listings were down 9.1%, pending sales were up 6.9%, closed sales were up 4.7%, and the median sales price increased 1.4% to $365,000. So when someone says home values are dropping everywhere, the right response is, show me the local data, because Albuquerque still has demand, movement, and opportunity. But it also requires buyers, sellers, and investors to think clearly instead of reacting emotionally. New listings dropped to 1,261 in May, compared to 1,388 last year. And inventory was also down 10% across all property types, with 2,011 homes for sale at the end of the month. Single-family detached homes followed the same pattern, with new listings down 8.4% and inventory down 10.1%. That matters because buyers are not walking into a market flooded with choices, and lower inventory can help support prices when demand is still present, especially for homes that are priced correctly and show well. Pending sales were up 6.9% across all property types, and single-family detached pending sales were up 9.1%, which tells us buyers have not disappeared. Closed sales were also up 4.7% overall, with 955 closed sales in May compared to 912 last year, while single-family detached closed sales were up 5.4%. That is an important signal, because it means people are not just browsing online. Contracts are being written, closings are happening, and the Albuquerque market still has real activity behind the numbers. The median sales price across all property types was $365,000, up 1.4% from last year, while single-family detached homes rose 2% to a median price of $375,000. That is not a runaway boom, but it is not a crash either. It is a modest price increase in a market where inventory is down and buyer activity is still holding. The attached market was softer, with the median price down 2.9% to $272,500, which tells us opportunity may vary by property type, and investors need to read the segment instead of assuming the whole market is moving the same way. Days on market is where buyers should pay close attention. Across all property types, homes averaged 39 days on market, up from 36 days last year, and detached homes also averaged 39 days. That tells us homes are still selling, but not every property is flying off the shelf overnight. For buyers, this can create more breathing room to inspect, negotiate, and think clearly. For sellers, it means pricing, condition, presentation, and timing matter more than they did during the frenzy years. Sellers across all property types received 98.9% of list price on average, which is basically flat from last year and still very strong. This is where buyers need to be careful, because a shifting market does not automatically mean sellers are giving properties away. The better strategy is to look for specific leverage points, like longer days on market, poor presentation, needed repairs, vacant homes, weak photos, or a property that missed the pricing window. Operators do not just ask for a discount because they want one. They look for the reason the seller may be willing to negotiate. Month supply came in at 2.4 months across all property types, down 11.1% from last year, with single-family detached homes also at 2.4 months. A balanced market is often closer to 5 or 6 months of supply, so Albuquerque is still not sitting in heavy inventory territory. That is another reason I would be careful with the market crash language. The numbers do not support it. For buyers, this means patience and discipline matter. For sellers, it means opportunity is still there, but pricing with reality is still the name of the game. For buyers, the opportunity is not that everything is suddenly on sale. That is lazy thinking. The real opportunity is finding properties where the math, motivation, condition, and timing line up. That may be a stale listing, a home that needs cosmetic updates, a property with poor marketing, or a seller who values certainty over squeezing every last dollar out of the deal. If you are buying as an investor, the question is not just, can I get a discount? The better question is, will this property produce income, protect my capital, and still make sense if the market moves slower than expected? For sellers, the opportunity is that Albuquerque still has demand. Pending sales are up, closed sales are up, inventory is down, and median prices are still modestly higher. That is a good setup, but it is not a blank check. The sellers who win in this market are the ones who price correctly, prepare the property well, and understand the buyer's payment pressure. Buyers today are dealing with higher borrowing costs, insurance costs, taxes, and affordability concerns. So a clean, well-priced property can still perform well, but wishful pricing is getting easier for buyers to ignore. For investors, this report reinforces the need for discipline. Albuquerque is not showing a simple crash story, and it is not showing an easy money story either. It is showing a market where local knowledge matters. This is where the one-door control system comes in: acquisition, capital, and management. You need to buy the right property, structure the funding correctly, and manage the asset like a business. Consumers chase headlines, but operators follow systems. And in a market like this, the operator has the advantage because they are looking for real math, real leverage, and real income. The May 2026 GAAR report gives us a clear message. Albuquerque is not crashing, but it is shifting. Inventory is down, buyer activity is up, prices are modestly higher, and days on market are rising, which creates opportunity for people who read the data instead of reacting to headlines. If this update helped you see Albuquerque real estate more clearly, hit the like button and subscribe so you do not miss the next update. And if you are ready to start thinking like an operator instead of a consumer, start the One-Door Challenge. The link is in the description, and it will help you look at real estate through real math, cash flow, and one door at a time.